Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the November 21st, 2021 special edition of The Breast There Is, The Breast There Was, and The Breast There Ever Will Be Wrestling Podcast. As always, I am your host, Mikey B, WWE, and tonight's podcast will be featuring my predictions for one of WWE's most prestigious and historic pay-per-view events of the year, the Survivor Series. Survivor Series has long been known in the WWE universe as one of the big four events in the WWE calendar year. Of course, the biggest event of the year, as we all know, in the WWE is WrestleMania. And the other big three that I'm referring to are the Survivor Series, SummerSlam, and the Royal Rumble. And Survivor Series is, in fact, the second oldest pay-per-view of the big four. So this has even more history to it than SummerSlam or Royal Rumble, for that matter. And I don't always want to harp on the WWE for, complain too much about what they're doing wrong. But tonight's pay-per-view, again, being such a historic, this one has so much prestige to it, Survivor Series. This is another year again where we have 0 championships on the line. The WWE, for whatever reason, has decided in recent years to have SmackDown participants compete against Raw participants, and for the belts and for title holders to face each other, but with no outcome where belts would be lost. So to me, that definitely loses a lot of its appeal. I've been myself personally at 2 different Survivor Series events, both of which had at least one title match. And of course, I was at the very first one to feature a WWF at the time championship match when the Hulk Hogan lost his belt to The Undertaker with some assistance from Ric Flair. So you don't get 3 names that much bigger in the history of wrestling than those 3 guys. And so that year, which was way back in 1991, that seemed to set off this continuation of major title matches going on at Survivor Series. So I don't know why they've decided to do this, because like I said, it really drops the appeal. Because if no one has any concern of losing belts, then we're going to see a lot of fluky outcomes tonight and results that don't really matter that much, which is unfortunate. And like I say, not just loses its appeal, but it loses its importance as well. So I think the WWE really needs to modify its setup and how it constructs the Survivor Series from now on. So I think, they have a lot of work to do. But that said, I'm looking at WWE.com's website right now, and this is the morning of Survivor Series, and there are 6 official matches on the match card, 2 of which are the traditional Survivor Series elimination style matches, which I will get to. So, without further ado, let me launch into my predictions for these 6 matches for the evening. The first match has the United States champion Damian Priest taking on the Intercontinental champion Shinsuke Nakamura. I think this match will be a highly contested match, 2 very good competitors. What I suspect will happen is we'll see Shinsuke ultimately win this hard-fought match between him and Damian. And I think that we will see a sign of respect at the end of the match once Shinsuke defeats Damian. I think Shinsuke will shake his hand and give kudos to and props to the younger competitor who is an up-and-coming guy. But I don't think it makes a lot of sense right now for Shinsuke to just lose in a match that has no important residual effect to a young guy. So my pick for this match is Shinsuke Nakamura to defeat Damian Priest. Moving on to the second match of the night, it's the Raw Tag Team Champions, the team of RK Bro, which is Randy Orton and Matt Riddle, taking on the SmackDown Tag Team Champions, the Usos. At the moment, I just don't like the idea at all of betting on or choosing against the members of the bloodline here in the WWE, the Roman Reigns Usos faction that has been in existence for quite a while now. I guess close to a year or more, well, the one cousin, Jey Uso, has been with Roman by his side even longer, but since this little bloodline thing's been going on, it's been getting close to a year now. But yeah, so that said, I think the Usos are gonna, do something to something very controversial here to get to squeak out a win over RK Bro, because again, even doing so, it's not like it hurts. It doesn't make RK Bro look any worse or weaker. And that's always a concern when you're choosing a victor, when they're booking, when the WWE's creative team's booking these results. They have to take all these things into consideration about how it makes both the victors and the losers appear following this. And right now, it would make just better sense for the Usos being with Roman Reigns and them being the kind of the top heel faction for sure in the company. They got to keep that. They got to let that keep rolling for now, especially now as we're getting into more of the fun, exciting time, because we got after Survivor Series tonight, we got Royal Rumble coming up in January, which of course always sets off the WrestleMania, the run towards WrestleMania, because we'll know some people who get title shots from WrestleMania after Royal Rumble. So there's going to be a lot of movement going on in these next few months. We're going to see a lot of build up then, and we're going to see things taking shape towards the WrestleMania picture. But tonight, I don't think we're going to see a whole lot of indications, anything leading towards WrestleMania just yet. I suppose we might see some of that, but I think there's very little glimpses we'll get tonight. But for back to the predictions, though, I do think the Usos will be victorious over RK Bro, likely in a controversial fashion. So the Usos is my pick for the second match. The third match on the night is the women's 5-on-5 traditional Survivor Series elimination match. On Team Raw, we have Bianca Belair, the WWE Women's Tag Team Champion Rhea Ripley, Liv Morgan, Carmella, and Queen Zelina, taking on Team SmackDown, which has Sasha Banks, Shotzi, Shayna Baszler, Natalya, and Toni Storm. Just on paper here, I just overall think that Team Raw is going to come out on top here, because I'm seeing that there's going to be some, I'm already picking some SmackDown competitors in these first couple matches, and I think it's not going to be a clean sweep by either program, as we've seen in some recent years. I think we're going to see some back and forth, and I do think that, I think that Team Raw is going to be victorious here. I don't have to choose who I think will be the sole survivors of these matches for the prediction purposes, but I will just for fun. And in this match, I do think that Bianca Belair, she's definitely going to be one of the last people standing here. And I also like Liv Morgan, so I'm going with Bianca Belair and Liv Morgan to be the survivors, the sole survivors there on Team Raw. But again, ultimately, for prediction purposes, I'm choosing just Team Raw to be victorious over Team SmackDown for the women's 5-on-5 traditional Survivor Series elimination match. So there's my pick there. Moving on to the men's 5-on-5 traditional Survivor Series elimination match. On Team Raw, we have Seth Rollins, Finn Balor, Kevin Owens, Austin Theory, and Bobby Lashley, taking on Team SmackDown, which features Drew McIntyre, King Woods, Jeff Hardy, Happy Corbin, and Sheamus. On this one, I think I got to choose Team SmackDown. Just chose Team Raw for the women's 5-on-5, and for the men's, I'm going to go Team SmackDown. And the people I like as being victorious here are sole survivors. I like Drew McIntyre and King Woods, and I do think, I mentioned a few minutes ago about we might get some glimpses into a possible WrestleMania outcomes. I've been saying for a little while now, I think Drew McIntyre is poised to have a title run, maybe against Roman Reigns. He might be the one to finally take out Roman Reigns. I'm not so sure it'll be Brock Lesnar. because that's what we've sort of been led to believe recently, with Brock Lesnar coming back after a pretty major hiatus and challenging Roman. And it didn't really, the feud's just kind of on pause maybe. So it might still happen that Lesnar will be the guy to beat Reigns. But the problem always with Brock Lesnar is that the guy doesn't want to work much with WWE. He's only here a few times a year. It's rather stupid to have your top champion be a guy or a person that just doesn't want to be there very much. So I don't like that. As much as I respect and like Brock Lesnar, I don't like him being the person who they're going to single out to defeat Roman Reigns. And I think when we do see that match, it's going to be at WrestleMania for sure. I don't see the WWE having Roman Reigns drop that belt anytime before that, unfortunately. But that said, I also don't know what the future is going to hold in these next few months. We could see some interesting programs developed against Roman Reigns, but for now, I do think Drew McIntyre is a solid choice, especially since they did the draft in recent months. Since he got moved over to SmackDown, he's kind of an obvious pick to maybe eventually go up and feud with Roman Reigns for the big belt. So, or one of the big belts, I should say. So, anyways, back to my prediction. I do think it'll be Drew McIntyre and King Woods being the sole survivors for Team SmackDown. But overall, I'm just choosing Team SmackDown to be victorious. So there you have it. So now moving on to the fifth of the 6 matches on the night. This one, of course, there's a lot of talk around because there's a lot of history between these two. It's the Raw Women's Champion Becky Lynch taking on the SmackDown Women's Champion Charlotte Flair. This will be solid because these two are two of the best female competitors ever in WWE. However, we have seen these two go up against each other many times in the last 3-4 years or beyond. I'm not extremely excited about it, but this is really going to be an interesting, I think, battle of two heel characters right now, basically. And ever since Becky Lynch has come back, at first it was really exciting when she just surprised everybody at SummerSlam, but then she immediately challenged Bianca Belair, won the belt in 26 seconds, I believe, and then the company's really been kind of pushing her with the heel angle, because she was very much over with the crowd before as a popular babyface, a face character. Since she's been back with SmackDown, since she beat Bianca, the company has made an effort to push her more as a heel, and as a result, I think Becky's going to win in a controversial fashion over Charlotte. There's definitely going to be some sneaky, slimy tactics going on here by both, but I think Becky's going to squeak out a win. And who knows? Again, these two are obviously going to fight again in the future. Who knows under what circumstances? But for tonight, I think Becky's going to get the victory over Charlotte Flair. So Becky Lynch is my pick there. And on to the final match of the night. We have the WWE Champion Big E taking on the Universal Champion Roman Reigns. Well, I was already talking about Reigns a few moments ago and how I don't suspect him losing anytime soon. And especially when we have the main event is there's no risk of losing belts. That one's kind of easy. Roman's going to get help from the Usos. Big E will probably get some help from King Woods and maybe Kofi Kingston. But still, Roman Reigns and the Usos, the bloodline, I think we're going to see victories for all of them. So Roman Reigns is my pick over Big E tonight, once again in probably a controversial fashion. Now that I've just laid out the card, again, it's not super exciting. I sincerely hope they're going to have some twists tonight, maybe some surprise appearances, because this is when there's no belts, when there's no titles on the line here changing hands, how exciting can it really, really be? So just as a quick recap for my picks, just running down the winners, I have Shinsuke Nakamura, the Usos, Team Raw for the women's. For the men's, Team SmackDown. And then Becky Lynch and Roman Reigns. So there you have it, folks. Those are my predictions for tonight. I hope I'm wrong, and I hope this event is a lot more exciting than I'm anticipating it to be. I guess we'll have to find out and see. Thanks very much for listening to my podcast. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel below if you enjoyed what you heard. And thanks again for listening, and we'll see you next time.